Welcome back to the Cougar Cast here at the Kokomo Post Sports. I'm your host, Jay Stevens, and in this podcast, we get to learn about what's going on at the IU Kokomo Cougars Athletic Department, the winning streaks that multiple teams are on right now, and get to learn about esports, the newest sport that's a part of the athletic department. And also, there are times you get to hear from a coach, maybe a coach and a player, about things that are going on their particular team. Here joining us today is Grant Patterson. Grant is the Sports Information Coordinator at IU Kokomo. Grant, welcome to the show.
It's awesome to be here. Thank you.
No problem. Grant, this is your first time here on the show. Could you let everyone know about you and what your job entails at IUK?
Yes, so about me, I'm from Kokomo, been born and raised here my whole life. 2017 Kokomo High School grad. Went off to Purdue for 2 years. It just didn't work out for me there, so I found myself a home back here in Kokomo at IUK, and the gracious people like Tom Norris got me a position working in sports information. So ever since then, I've been picked up right there, and essentially a job description for me is I write articles, post game day graphics, handle all social media accounts, anything to do with IU Kokomo Athletics and our website, as well as our social media accounts. I'm normally the face behind those tweets.
I didn't know that was you before hearing that, but now that I know it's you, if there's an error, which there aren't so far that I've seen, but if there is an error, maybe a typo or a letter that's out of place in a person's name, I'm coming at you, got your number, I'm going to text you and say, hey, it's your fault. No, just all jokes aside, no, Grant does a really good job with what he does, and Tom Norris was one that actually talked about Grant numerous times, and the first time he talked about you, he said you're on top of your game, and I want to just pass that along to you from Tom, saying he's had high praise for you, and everything I've noticed from you, Grant, so far, that could change. You're really good at what you do, and you have a unique experience at IUK because you're not only working in the athletic department, but you're also a student at IUK. How do you juggle and handle being a student and being the sports information coordinator for IUK at the same time?
I'd be lying if I said it wasn't a lot at times, especially when right now we're entering a bit of a crossover season where winter sports have begun. We're about 2 weeks away from winter sports starting their seasons with both men and women's basketball. They'll be home at the beginning of November. So it's getting really tough right now, but hey, I signed up for this. I know I've got it in me, and taking 18 credit hours just to get graduation to come quicker, it's hard, but with the people I work with in the athletic department, they know at times I'll need a break or I might need a little help, and they work super well with me. We've got a tight-knit group in the athletic department, and they're super understanding. What
would it mean for you to potentially stay in this role post-graduation?
It would definitely mean a lot for me. It's definitely something I'm interested in. Having been here, grown up here my whole life, I've spent all but 2 years living right here in Kokomo. So I feel like I've got a great connection with the town, the community, people like you that I can build our brand at IU Kokomo with. But I'm open to anything. So I'd love to start here, definitely have some good connections, but we'll see where it takes me after I graduate this December.
Grant, I was doing some looking on the Instagram page that you're a part of, and I was just amazed at how many athletes have been recognized at the conference level. Golf, a couple on the golf side, volleyball as well, for the things that they have done at a high level in their sport. There are 3 on my paper. We talked about them earlier. Can you just kind of discuss some of the amazing feats that IU Kokomo athletes are doing right now?
Yeah, it's impressive. When I started doing this last fall, I was immediately surprised with the number of athletes we had receiving conference recognition on a larger scale than what we have here. So yeah, they get the Player of the Week here with the Kokomo Post, but then throughout the conference, that means 14 or so teams in the conference that they're beating out. And specifically this week, I mean, 3 this coming week that I just wrote articles about. You can check that out at iukcougars.com. First off, Olivia Smith. What else can you say? I mean, River State's Conference Defender of the Year last year. She's come back for her senior year and impressed. I think it's her 3rd, maybe her 4th Defender of the Week honor this year that she just earned. She anchored our back row last week as she does best. I think she had her high of 24 digs, that is, at Shawnee State in a big road win. And really, I mean, she's played a crucial part in keeping points alive and leading these Cougars on the 14-game win streak that they're on.
Help me out here. So I looked at some numbers for the volleyball team. 19-3 record. 14-game winning streak.
Right.
Heather Hayes, the first time we talked to her here this second season of the Cougar Cast, I was amazed when I heard about how successful she has been since she's been the volleyball coach at IU Kokomo. I think she's been the only volleyball coach the school has had. So you're the only coach, you're successful, you're finding a way to sustain that success. but then also players coming back their senior year after having a monster junior year to play under you. And Olivia's one of them that is being benefited by the way Heather Hayes coaches this team. I mentioned some numbers, but are there other numbers that kind of depict and can tell us how well this team has played this year?
Yeah, this team has played remarkably. And just to speak on what Heather Hayes, she's actually our second coach, but our first coach, she was only here for a short amount of time. And Heather's pretty much been with us since we've been an NAIA-affiliated member school. But overall, it's just amazing to me that Heather started her 11th season this fall, and 3 weekends into the season, she received her 300th win. And I think that's just absolutely remarkable. You play about 30 matches a year, so 30 matches a year in 11 years. I can't do the math in my head, but that's a pretty dang good winning percentage. So I've been super impressed with everything. And just since I've been here, the camaraderie of the team, they're always well put together, and they compete as one. And I think that's what a lot of teams do at IU Kokomo. And when people question why we're so successful, especially recently, last school year and this school year, I think it's because everyone's on the same page. And we're all competing. Volleyball's out supporting soccer when they have a night off, and vice versa. Our gym is packed with mostly student athletes supporting one another.
Later in today's show, we're going to hear from Brandi Jones, the head women's golf coach at IUK, who is a former IUK golfer of her own. So we'll get to hear more from her and some amazing things that the golf team is doing right now. And I mentioned her because the next person on my list is Miss Sarah Williams, who was named the River States Conference Golfer of the Week. That's huge. Go from volleyball to golf. There's another golfer we're going to hit on later on in the show. Dude, I say it all the time, and I said it to Tom a few times as well. I am amazed at how successful and how many athletes are great at their sport. Not just good or average, literally great at what they do. Can you just discuss what Sarah Williams did over the weekend to earn this honor from the conference?
Yeah, so Sarah Williams is she's been here a while. She's a senior here at IUK, and she competed with current head coach Brandi Jones. I'm sure Brandi will touch on that a bit later. But this has been a long time coming for Sarah, and I'm super proud of what she was able to accomplish. Second to last tournament of her final fall season, that is. She'll be back to compete in the spring, I'm assuming. But to come out and shoot 81, she trailed by 6 strokes going into round 2.
Oh, man.
And she shot an 83, a little worse than round 1, but hey, she battled in tough conditions and did what she had to do to make her way into a playoff, and then winning that playoff with a par on the second hole was, I'm sure it's all her, Brandi. I'm sure it's all they could ask for.
And then last but not least, Mr. Hayden Williamson was first place at the conference preview, shot a 72 and a 75 for 3 over on that tournament, was also named River States Conference Golfer of the Week. What can you highlight from this young man and what he did at the conference preview?
Yeah, Hayden's only in his 3rd semester competing for us at IU Kokomo.
Did you say 3rd semester?
Yeah.
Dude, this is insane. I'm literally in the moment once again. I'm just baffled and amazed at how much talent is at the school. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but still, in the moment, I'm shocked that everybody here wins. Everybody here gets awarded. I need to come out of retirement and go start playing some stuff because, man, I want to be a part of this too.
No, all good. And it's completely impressed me. When I stepped into this role last fall, it was Hayden's first semester, and I was immediately impressed. Got to travel with the golf team to a tournament down in southern Indiana, and I was impressed with his work ethic. He was first one at the range, last one off, and he just seemed like his mindset was different. He had what it took, and he knew he had what it took. Struggled early this fall to put things together. I think Brent, our head golf coach, would say that, and so would Hayden. But to finally see him go out and do this week, it's what he's been expecting, and I know his team is super proud of him. Shot an even par 72 in round 1, and then Coach told me that in the playoff on the first hole, he looked to hit one out of bounds, got a little lucky, landed in the fairway, took advantage of that. Chipped it up onto the green, 2-putt for par, wins you the playoff, and all of a sudden he's a favorite going into the River States Conference Championship in the spring now because he won at this golf course in the fall.
Last but not least, one thing I want to do every time Grant's on the show is kind of highlight the times that people in Kokomo or in Howard County can come to IU Kokomo to watch some of the amazing athletes perform that are part of this athletic department. I know last week there were no home games. I think there are a couple this week.
Yes, there are. So last week, as you said, no home events. But this week, we picked back up with 2, both later in the week. Give you a chance to get off work Friday night and come out to the Student Activities and Events Center on campus. Volleyball, they're set to host Ohio Christian, 7 p.m. first serve. And a little bit of somewhat local flavor, Ohio Christian, who will face off against Friday, has a superb not sure if she's an outside hitter or middle hitter, but she's a superb student athlete from Pioneer, just up the road near Logan Sports. So I'm sure they'll bring quite a few fans. It should be a great environment. So come out and watch our volleyball team try and get their 15th consecutive win. And then, hey, why not? If you're not from around here, stay the night. Come out Saturday afternoon, watch soccer. They've won 4 straight, 4-0-1 in the conference, haven't lost a conference match yet. So they're really looking to build upon what they did last fall and clinching the program's first NAIA national tournament berth. They'll have to win the postseason tournament again this year, but I believe in them, and they've really started to peak at the right time, if you ask me.
I'm amazed not only at the athletes, but that Grant at the top of the dome knew who was playing, when they're playing, athletes on the opposing team. He's really good at what he does, guys, and I'm glad he's here as a part of the Cougar Cast discussing things going on in the IU Kokomo Athletic Department. Coming up next, women's golf coach Brandi Jones will be joining us. We get to learn about her, learn what it means for her to be the women's golf coach at the school she used to play golf at, and then also hear her discuss Sarah Williams winning River State's Conference Golfer of the Week. As the Cougar Cast rolls on, I'd like to welcome into the show the head women's golf coach at IUK, Miss Brandi Jones. Brandi, welcome back to the show. First time this season, but welcome to the show anyway.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I'm glad to be here.
No problem. This is one of the times, I think the first time since I've been hosting the show, that we're talking to a coach that in the previous season played golf at IUK. That dynamic is different because most players, once they're done playing, they might not go to coach. And if they go coach, it might not be a head coach of the school that they played that sport at. What does it mean for you to go from playing golf at IUK to now coaching that same team you played golf on?
It means a lot to me. I think it's special to coach anyway. I think you have an important role. I think it's an important job, but coaching specifically for a program that you played for, I think really means a lot.
It does mean a lot, and I'm not going to go through your accomplishments and the records, but people, when they hear Brandi Jones, I'm sure when it comes to golf in the athletic department, they know she's good. She's really good at what she does. Has it been hard for you in these early few months to transition from golfer Brandi to the coach Brandi?
It actually hasn't been as hard as I think you might think.
Yeah.
Definitely, I think I have a great group of girls who have made it a lot easier. I have a couple really good leaders who have done a really good job of kind of stepping up kind of into a captain position. But I would say that golf specifically and athletics in general and college athletics specifically really give you an opportunity to learn how to be a leader.
Yeah.
And so I think that was kind of something special that I had that if you don't do college athletics, you might not necessarily understand, but I think that I already kind of was in that role a little bit as a player, as a captain, as a leader. And so I think stepping into a coach, administrative, definitely on that side, there's a lot of things I've had to learn, but IUK, we have a really great staff, great faculty. Like I said, we have a great group of girls who have made the transition a lot easier than it would be otherwise.
You speak of the leadership qualities that are needed with being a student athlete in general. But then you being a leader on the golf team previously, how did you see yourself grow during your time period playing golf at IUK?
I would say one of the biggest things, and I think that this comes with age, but I think that athletics is invaluable when it comes to this, is confidence.
Yeah.
Just believing in yourself, believing in your teammates. Even though golf is, a very individualistic sport, there's still a lot of the team atmosphere, team dynamic. And I think that knowing you can kind of trust others, rely on them, rely on yourself, know that they can rely on you. I think that builds your confidence in a way that is hard to do outside of sports.
It is very hard in sports. From an early age, when I started playing, my first sport that I played was soccer, and then I played baseball, which I was trash, not good at all. I played a little golf, and I'm even worse at golf. But the sports that I've played, they've been primarily team-oriented sports. Soccer on a team, baseball, football, basketball. It's a whole lot different when you're out there by yourself, kind of on an island, all eyes on you, maybe the first hole or the 18th, whatever it is, all eyes are on you. And there's sometimes pressure you put on yourself in those moments. Sometimes pressure people say to you going into tournament saying, hey, all the pressure's on you, people watching you. This one wrong move or this bad angle could mess up your chances of winning this tournament. Golf is one of those sports that you speak of the leadership qualities, but also you have to have a belief in yourself that sometimes you don't need in other sports. How has that, like the sport itself being an individual sport, how has that helped you right now? Because as I think about it, I could go from playing basketball to coaching, and because I'm dealing with different people. Yes, but there's leadership qualities and things you learn about yourself from just this being a sport that's about you and how you're performing in any given tournament.
Mm-hmm. I think that, and this is kind of the same with other sports, but I think golf specifically is that, and this is kind of where that confidence comes from too, is that you have to understand what you're good at, what you're bad at, where your strengths are, what your weaknesses are. And I think there's kind of confidence that comes from understanding that, because you know, okay, I'm good at this. Like, I feel comfortable with this. And if you're not good at it, I think that it's still understanding that you have areas to improve is really important, because and that's kind of where the team atmosphere comes whenever it comes to golf, is in practice, you know, like being willing to work on something or having your teammates help you. And yes, you are out there by yourself. And I really liked that. Yeah. I liked knowing on one hand, like if I was doing poorly, that I had my teammates there. I think that you have to trust them. But on the other hand, like I liked being out there by myself. Sometimes I thought way too much. You have the chance to kind of get in your own head. But I think that it's so special to be able to, you know, talk to your opponents, like be out there one-on-one with your coach, but get to know kind of everybody, like build special relationships that maybe on the basketball court, it's a lot harder to kind of build relationships with your opponents, but golf gives you the opportunity to do that. And then you can go back to the hotel or the bus or back home or whatever and go through with your teammates, kind of talk through everything. It's kind of funny. I think golf funny specifically because people will say, we'll be around golfers who aren't golfers, and they're like, golfers never stop talking about golf. Because they don't. We'll be on the way home and we will talk through every shot or every hole or what went bad or what went good. And like I said, I have a really great group of girls, very positive, very just kind of like-minded. But it's so funny because I'll think about that sometimes. I'll be like, we only talk about golf.
It's one of those weird things. I mean, football and basketball, baseball, like athletes talk about what they do. My dad plays golf. He talks about golf, but he can't talk about that with me like he can with some of his golf buddies, just because I don't know golf like that. But I can only imagine some of those conversations after tournaments in the van, or maybe in the locker room where girls are just talking about what just happened in that tournament. Or do you remember some of those conversations you had when you were playing post-tournament or post a round where you're just talking about what happened after the 18 holes you played?
Oh, absolutely. I'll still talk about them. I'll talk about it around that happened 3 years ago, and I can go shot by shot. I think that it is great to kind of be able to share that with others. And you mentioned the pressure, and it is definitely hard. It's hard being out there kind of by yourself sometimes, especially when you're nervous or you're scared or whatever it is. But I think those experiences are kind of like what build you into the person that you are. And so this past weekend, we had a tournament, and one of the leaders that I was actually talking about, Sarah Williams, she's our captain, our number one, our leader. She's done a great job stepping into that role. She's also a nursing student. She's done an incredible job of balancing both. I think it takes a special type of person to be a nurse. I am not that type of person. And I think it takes an even more special person to do that while being a student athlete. And she actually did really well her second round, came from behind to get into a playoff for medalist. And we were talking kind of before she went out, and I was like, I know it doesn't feel like it sometimes, but pressure is a privilege. And I know that's a little bit cheesy, but it's true. Like, there are people who would give anything to be in that position. And I was like, a year from now, you are going to wish you were here. Because she's, I'm so lucky that she did, but she decided to take her fifth year in order to keep playing for us, take advantage of that COVID year that so many athletes are. And a year from now, 2 years from now, whenever, you're going to miss this. And even though, you know, your heart's racing now, shaking a little bit, like, you're going to want to be in this position later in life.
That's interesting advice about the pressure aspect that you mentioned. And that, I do believe, from the results, helped her and maybe motivated her to accomplish what she did. She was also named the River State Conference Golfer of the Week. And also that was her first college win. those are great accomplishments, especially in the tournament when the team as a whole is doing well. What are some other things that you want to maybe highlight from that tournament about maybe other golfers and how they played?
I was really proud of how we did as a team. We've had a couple girls. We have 2 freshmen who have played in every tournament this fall, and they both did really well. Chloe, specifically, Chloe Crook is from Logan Sports, so she's actually a pretty local player. But she did a really great job kind of adjusting, learning on the course. I think that golf allows you to do that. I think that's why it's important that you have kind of an understanding of your game so that you can go out and fix it. And so she showed a lot of improvement from round 1 to round 2. Our sophomore, Anna, we have a pretty young team, I would say. We have a couple older girls, like I said, who have done a really great job of being leaders. But overall, we have a lot of underclassmen. Anna played one of her best rounds, and that was a really highlight from the season. Just kind of seeing her improve from her freshman year to her sophomore year, kind of stepping into that leadership role as well as an underclassman still, and just showing how much she's worked over from the summer to now, and just really seeing those improvements, I think is a big deal, especially since I was her teammate. Yeah. I think it's exciting as a coach to see that, and I'm excited to grow with her and the freshmen. One
thing I want to do before we close out this show, I know there are golfers out there that are watching this. I mentioned my dad earlier. My buddy Adam's going to watch, and there may be other golfers out there, and I always want to offer golfers some advice. Not from me. I don't know anything. I could talk about golf in a very small conversation, but from Brandi Jones, some advice from the golfer. What advice would you give? Maybe general advice, not the maybe expert level, but some general advice you would give to people that are watching this about ways that they could improve their game.
I would say that for everyone, for beginner to professional, wherever it is, but especially the beginner level, is, don't play the superhero shot. Yeah. Even though I know sometimes it's fun and it's hard to say that, but I think that you need to kind of understand what you're capable of doing, how often you can hit that shot. If you play it safe, it's going to probably pay off a lot more than it's not. And I think that kind of course management is something that beginner players don't think about as much because they're like, oh, I'm not good enough to even worry about it. But it will help your game so much if you focus on that.
Guys, I really appreciate Brandi Jones coming on the show, the head women's golf coach at IUK, and then also Grant Patterson, the sports information coordinator at IUK, coming on the show earlier. We'll be back next week to hear from Grant and to hear from another coach at IUK and to hear about some of the exciting things going on at the Cougars athletic department.